to an all-new episode of the Cinema Gold Podcast. I'm your host, Larry Leese. Today we're diving into the top 10 in movies and TV. This week we're going my 10 worst TV finales. First, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Poddex, for sponsoring this episode. Poddex are the hottest new tool for podcasters looking to have more meaningful conversations or to gamify their podcast. Simply shuffle up, ask a question, let the content roll. You can get yours today at poddex.com and use promo code CinemaGold for 10% off your order. And now let's get into the worst series finales in TV history. When a popular show nears its ending after seasons of careful plotting and layered character arcs, it can be intimidating to figure out how to stick the landing perfectly without letting loyal fans down. Some shows manage to tie up plot lines neatly and in a satisfying way, leaving viewers happy with how their favorite characters said goodbye. Others completely botch their grand finishes, leaving audiences screaming and furious as they watch their universes they love get brought down by bad writing, sloppy execution, and inconsistent character development. Over the years, TV fans have seen so many classic shows come and go. While some have stuck their landings spectacularly, others have floundered, working against sky-high expectations and ultimately not delivering on years of potential. From big-budget fantasies to intimate period dramas to comedies, here are some finales that I believe were among the worst. Number 10, we got Lost. It was created by J.J. Abrams after the success of his previous ABC hit Alias. This interesting drama told the heightened story of plane crash survivors stuck on a remote and mysterious island. As if being stranded wasn't a big enough problem, the passengers of Oceanic Flight 815 encounter plenty of weird issues on the island. From polar bears to smoke monsters to weird coincidences, Lost is still consistently ranked as one of the best shows of all time, and it continues to be rewatchable as old and new viewers search for clues and Easter eggs throughout every episode. And if you want to see my review of the first three seasons so far, you can hit the little icon up here, or it'll be over there. But let's continue. And number 9 is Dexter. This is a show I kind of watched really late into the popularity of it. It was based on a series of novels by Jeff Lindsay. Dexter told the dark and occasionally amusing story of Dexter Morgan, who works as a forensic scientist in Miami by day and hunts down criminals at night, leading a double life as a serial killer determined to channel his worst impulses in a way that provides justice rather than senseless carnage. Throughout the series, Dexter tries and usually fails to save his loved ones from other, even worse killers. And even though the first 4 seasons were incredibly well received, and I actually thought they were pretty good, the quality started to slip in the later seasons, with the 6th and 8th season getting the worst reviews of all. I've even been told by friends to skip those seasons specifically. With such a rocky road to the conclusion, fans were uneasy going into the series finale. They ended up being proven exactly right. After dumping his beloved sister's body in the ocean like trash, Dexter leaves his son with his girlfriend, another serial killer, allowing them to abscond to Buenos Aires before driving a boat into a CGI hurricane, only to resurface as a heavily bearded lumberjack in Oregon after faking his death. After 8 seasons spent rooting for Dexter, though, even his worst moments, this ending couldn't have been more disappointing, completely abandoning the question of whether or not Dexter would get caught or get away with his crimes. And at number 8 is How I Met Your Mother. The ending of a show called How I Met Your Mother should have been pretty straightforward, you would assume. The series, told in voiceover by an older version of its protagonist, Ted Mosby, tells the story of how he met his children's mother to both of his kids as well as to viewers. A long story, 9 seasons to be exact, winds through anecdotes about his friends, his career, and the other women he meets along the way. The mother, whose name is eventually revealed to be Tracy, is the perfect partner for Ted. But unfortunately, they don't get their happy ending. After a frustrating final season that focused entirely on a 3-day span, the finale provided unsatisfying endings for just about every character. Within the first half hour, the couple whose wedding took up the entire last season, Robin and Barney, part ways, and the latter becomes a changed man once he has a daughter. None of Ted's friends really get an ending that honors their entire story, but worst of all, the mother is killed off in a silent montage just so that Ted and Robin can get back together. And next on the list is Game of Thrones. After 8 seasons of everything from political intrigue to full-on warfare from fantastical locations to ice zombies and dragons, Game of Thrones became a pop culture phenomenon, earning dozens of awards, heaps of praises, and smashing records, and everything from Emmy nominations to viewers. Despite plenty of other subplots, the real question came down to which character would end up sitting on the Iron Throne. Fans around the world were anxious to see who would reign over the 7 kingdoms, with fierce contenders, which I'm not going to be able to say half these names: Jon Snow, Cersei Lannister, and Sansa Stark, as well as Emilia Clarke's character vying for control. In the end, nobody actually gets the throne, which gets barbecued by a vengeful dragon after Jon stabs Emilia Clarke's character for the good of the realm. And the newly elected leader of the 7 kingdoms ends up being Bran Stark, an unexpected choice thanks to his lack of qualifications and young age. Pair an underwhelming finale with a disastrous final season, in which half of the show's character development and world building was thrown out as the creators race to the finish line. You get a pretty terrible ending to one of the biggest shows of all time. Next on the list is Gossip Girl. Yeah, I admit I watched this. It was an over-the-top look into the lifestyle of New York's most privileged and pampered teenagers. It was the CW's adaptation of the popular young adult book series Gossip Girl, and it posed an important question. Who is the Gossip Girl, and why was she so determined to take down a very specific group of high schoolers? Running an anonymous blog, Gossip Girl spends years tormenting beautiful, super-rich teens like Serena van der Woodsen and Blair Waldorf without ever revealing her identity or true goals. As the show progressed over 6 seasons, it certainly started to go off the rails. And after an uneven and overly dramatic final season, the show finally revealed the identity of Gossip Girl. Turns out that it wasn't even a girl. Dan Humphrey, the ultimate outsider from Brooklyn, had been pulling the strings all along. All the characters seem relatively fine with the fact that their closest friend had been cyberbullying them for years. And Gossip Girl's most frequent victim, Serena, even marries her bully. The creators admitted that this hasty and unbelievable game plan was changed partway through the series, when fans figured out the original intentions. And next on the list is House of Cards. Yeah, you knew you were going to have problems when Kevin Spacey did his thing and was forced out. One of Netflix's most popular original series, House of Cards, was a groundbreaking series upon its release, with a pilot directed by David Fincher and a cast that included Kevin Spacey, Robin Wright, Kate Mara, Michael Kelly, and others. The show focused on the dark underbelly of American politics, specifically concerning the underhanded machinations of Frank Underwood and his very own Lady Macbeth, Claire Underwood. As the series progressed, the two literally killed to gain and maintain power, and despite being passed over for Secretary of State at the series' beginning, Frank becomes president, and ultimately so does Claire. Spacey, however, was hastily written out of the show after serious allegations broke about his history of sexual misconduct. At the start of the show's 6th and final season, audiences were told that Frank had died, leaving Claire to assume the mantle as the show's lead. Despite a formidable performance from a talented actress like Wright, the show had just clearly run out of steam, and the finale finds her in a showdown with Stamper, who admits to poisoning Frank before attempting to kill Claire, who wins the battle and watches as he bleeds out in the Oval Office. In the wake of Spacey's exit, it's disappointing that it ended with an underwhelming twist. And next on the list, for the worst TV finale, is Seinfeld. The ever-popular show about nothing, Seinfeld starred stand-up comedian Jerry Seinfeld in a non-biographical role. Despite playing a comedian named Jerry Seinfeld, the character bears little resemblance to the real Seinfeld. Focused on Jerry's life in New York alongside his friends Elaine, George, and Kramer, the show shines a spotlight on the smallest details of everyday life, pointing out relatable but seldom discussed mundanes. Holidays like Festivus, terms like regifter, low talker, and close talker, catchphrases like "no soup for you," have firmly remained in the cultural lexicon since the show's end. In 1998, and thanks to streaming, it continues to find new life with new generation of fans. One of the best things about Seinfeld was its complete lack of morals. Each one of the four main characters was at heart a selfish and generally pretty bad person, drifting through the series, committing petty social offenses without a second thought. However, in the finale, the four are arrested for breaking a Good Samaritan law and end up standing trial for every rude or weird thing they've ever done, sending a fairly muddled message and making the entire thing into a bizarre fable about being a good person, despite everything that had been happening throughout its 9-season run. And next on the list is Roseanne. Roseanne had to arrive on TV thanks to a short-lived revival in 2018. However, it was shifted to the Connors after Roseanne Barr went on a racist Twitter rant in that same year. The original series was one of the most beloved sitcoms during its 88 to 97 run. It was consistently praised for its down-to-earth and realistic portrayal of a blue-collar family. The sitcom starred Barr alongside John Goodman, Sarah Gilbert, Laurie Metcalf, telling the day-to-day stories of the Connor family as they dealt with raising teenagers and what it's like when both parents work outside the home. During the 9th and final season of the original series, things seemed to be going pretty well for the Connor family. Dan survived a heart attack. From the previous season, Roseanne's sister Jackie found love, and the Connor family wins the lottery, earning them millions of dollars. However, it turns out this was all a made-up story written by Roseanne to cope with trauma, since Dan is actually dead. Jackie's alone and struggling with her sexuality, and the family's financial situation is still bad. This twist, completely ignored by the eventual revival, stripped the show of the warmth and humor that characterized the rest of the series and left fans confused, angry, and shocked, giving the darkest possible ending to what had been an uplifting and relatable family sitcom. I can't believe I watched this one either, but next on the list is True Blood. Alan Ball may have provided a perfect ending for 6 Feet Under. Definitely a good show, worth watching. But he dropped the ball when it came to time for his next hit series, True Blood. A over-heightened campfest set in the fictional town of Bon Temps, Louisiana. Imagines a world where vampires are real and figuring out how to live among humans without killing them, thanks to the recent invention of synthetic True Blood. However, some are still dangerous, and as an added complication, vampire blood is a hallucinogenic for humans, so that two sides remain in an impasse. Amidst all of this, a local waitress and telepath, Suki, falls in love with a peaceful vampire named Bill Compton, which offers up plenty of complications. True Blood, despite using the pro-vampire movement as a fairly overt analogy for real-world civil rights struggles, always trafficked in the absurd. For 7 seasons, fan enjoyed the parade of fairies, werewolves, werepanthers, and I can't even remember how to say this, but even Menards, making the lackluster finale even more frustrating. After putting Suki in the midst of several love triangles throughout the show, she ends up with a never-seen husband rather than any of her previous love interests, while everyone else basically gets a happy ending. For a show that provided a fun ride, fans were furious at the way the finale fizzled, and it's pretty hard to blame them. And finally, number 1 for my worst TV finales was Scrubs. Led by Zach Braff, who starred as Dr. John J.D. Dorian, Scrubs focused on a group of medical interns making their way through residency and struggling with annoying bosses and tough cases as they grow from scared, meek interns to full-fledged doctors. Alongside Braff, audiences fell in love with characters like his outgoing best friend Turk, Turk's wife, Carla, JD's best friend and off-again, on-again love interest, Elliot Reed, and JD's perpetually pissed-off mentor, Dr. Cox. The show told their stories through heightened fantasy sequences as well as more grounded moments that made for a well-rounded comedy. The last few seasons, however, were disrupted by a network switch, and when Scrubs made the leap from NBC to ABC, the show dipped in quality and aired a season finale during Season 8, even though it reappeared with an entirely new cast of interns for another full season, airing one more finale. Thanks to the fact that actors like Braff, Faison, and Chalk were absent from a bulk of the final 2 seasons, and creator Bill Lawrence seemed hesitant to revive it for a 9th season, Scrubs had not 1 but 2 disappointing finales, neither of which did justice to the entire season. Let us know your thoughts about these 10 worst finales. What do you think was the worst? Do you disagree with any of my picks? Let us know in the comment section below. And please do hit that like button, or the thumbs up button, and please do subscribe to this channel for more content. And you should check out these videos over here. Watch some more. You can check out our recent review of Classic Rewind for Beverly Hills Cop 3, which we just released yesterday. And we'll see you Monday.